Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we return to talking about one of our favorite singers and one of the greatest musician and music makers of all time, none other than Kanye West. Kanye West has been making waves again in the news this week because of a number of reasons. More recently, when this whole new wave of stories started, Kanye West was announcing that he was running for president. That's right. He's decided to throw his hat into the ring and become a contender for the 2020 presidential election here in the United States of America. This obviously interested a lot of people. Kanye West is not only one of the biggest musicians and most famous creators of all time, but also he's a billionaire and pretty outspoken. He previously had supported Trump and kind of agreed with him, met with him at the White House, but more recently he backed away from that and also turned to bashing Joe Biden. He doesn't like Joe Biden very much. He says Joe Biden isn't special like how Trump is and how Kanye and other people are, like other presidents that he mentioned. So yeah, he obviously doesn't like Biden. He is now claiming to run for president, and there's a lot of theories and interest about that. I think it might be more of a publicity thing. Like a lot of people are talking about how he's got an album coming out this week that just is too perfect a timing to have to go with this whole presidential thing. So it really does sound like it's some kind of show. It's being done for fun. And I wouldn't put that out of the way for Kanye. He's been known to be quite a showman. He's dramatic. He has a lot of, energy. He has a lot of emotion. Like he's just a very kind of interesting artist, and people want to hold that against him too, which I really hate. I hate how they always want to call him crazy and out of control, and that's like their go-to insult for Kanye. They go and when he says something like this, they go, "Oh, he's crazy, he's losing his mind, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about, like he's insane." And I'm just not buying that. Like I get that he's a little extreme, and he definitely has said some off-the-wall things, but to call him insane is just kind of trying to discredit him, and that's what a lot of liberals do, to just kind of silence him and to make it like, oh, let's not even listen to this guy. So we're going to get to more of this story. We're going to talk about Kanye having his first campaign rally and also how he had a little tiff with his wife and his family. So we're going to talk about that and his upcoming album soon. But first, let's take a quick moment to check out our sponsor. Recently, the Supreme Court has decided to not look at big Second Amendment cases, saying they won't hear appeals to several cases involving weapon laws. This has caused a blow to Second Amendment activists, and to combat this and to show our support for weapon owners, Beyond Patriots is doing a giveaway of their popular Second Amendment coin. Normally these coins would retail for about $40, but now Beyond Patriots is giving these gold coins away for free just for this occasion. All you have to do is pay for shipping, which is an awesome deal for a really good quality collector item, and you'll be supporting our Second Amendment rights, which is really important, more important now than ever. So make sure you guys check out that exclusive link below. Get yourself a free coin today, only pay for shipping. And now let's get back to the show. Great, now that that's out of the way, let's get to the Kanye story. I've got a couple articles to go over to talk about it. The first one says, Kanye West launches campaign with chaotic rally. Rapper's rambling and emotional address, which included an apparent $1 million for new mothers, was almost drowned out by rowdy crowd in Charleston. Yes, and this is the video and the rally that we've been hearing about all over the last week. It went a little crazy. Admittedly, some wild things were said, but at the same time, like, Kanye also dropped some pretty big truth bombs, so it's kind of hard to really judge this, since he also went on and said stuff about Harriet Tubman that was rather controversial, and he spoke about all these issues. He talked about God and stuff like that too, but at the same time, he also said some very insightful, truthful things that I think people are purposely looking over.
I'm not trying to quiet your voices, actually, so I don't want to say that in an improper way. I just haven't had the time to word it in the most elegant way possible. So that's a Stephen move. When Harriet Tubman never actually freed the slaves. She just had the slaves go work for other white people.
Y'all, we leaving right now.
That was a funny clip that I saw online. That chick was just like bailing right after that line. And yeah, I think that's a crazy thing to say. I know that Harriet Tubman is very well respected. She ran the whole Underground Railroad during the Civil War era, during the time where the slaves were being freed. But I think, I don't want to go on this agreeing with Kanye tour. But basically, to defend Kanye's point, though, he's just trying to say that Tubman didn't fully free them. She's just sent them over to have new masters. Like, they didn't really get evolved. Like, they didn't get past slavery. They just got out of those chains and then went to work for some other guy. Like, it's just kind of like a little bit of a wordplay with Kanye. It's not like the worst thing in the world. It's just him saying kind of, I think he's being hyperbolic and also being like, oh, we could do better. Like, we should have gone for more than just that. Like, just getting people out of shackles is one thing, but to give them a real free life in maybe a different situation in another place in another way, that's really what Kanye's going for.
We talked about her not having this child. She had the pills in her hand. Do people know these pills where you take the pills and if you take it, it's a wrap. The baby's gone. So I was sitting up in Paris and I had my leather pants on. You already know, if you got leather pants on, you already know who this person must think they are. Right? And I'm in the apartment where my wife was actually robbed. And I have my laptop up and I got all of my creative ideas. I got my shoes, I got my sound cover, I got communities, I got clothes, I got all this. And the screen went black and white.
So here is where Kanye kind of says he had a epiphany. He thinks that God spoke to him when his computer went off and told him not to get rid of their baby. And I think that's a noble thing. Like, I think them considering not having the baby is obviously a tough choice, but it's hard to really sympathize with that because, I mean, these guys are super rich. They're just so established. There's no reason not to keep that kid. Like, they have all the resources they need. They could have 20, 30 kids and still have billions of dollars. I mean, Kanye West is a billionaire. I don't think he was at that time, but these guys have a lot of money and a lot of, clout and resources and enough to take care of the kids. So them not keeping it as an idea was really bad to begin with. And I think obviously it's a little extreme to describe this epiphany moment. I know people aren't really big on these kinds of messages from gods these days, but I think it's another thing that could be considered almost hyperbolic too. Like, it's just, he had a moment where he realized they should keep it. And that's that. I don't see really how this is that bad of a thing. And that's why I wanted to go over a few of these quotes, because I really think the event wasn't nearly as bad as people said. Like, there was a lot of weird moments and it turned into lots of craziness afterwards. Like, what happened next was really scary because next Kim gets involved. Kim was like worried about Kanye and she went with the doctor to go try and lock up Kanye, thinking he's crazy. And that was more because of other things too. Like, not only was he airing out some of their private information and having this kind of like seemingly unhinged rally at South Carolina, like the video clips we're watching, but also he started to talk about private things like this about their first kid. And later on, he talks about this in this next article, talks about criticizing Kim for posing with Playboy and saying his kids never will. And so as this article says, there was apparently a discussion about Kanye and Kim. Kim Kardashian is, of course, Kanye's wife. And she's also famous in her own right. She's got all these reality shows. And truth be told, she actually first got famous for making a sex tape and getting big on that. She sold a sex tape that she made with Ray J, like way back at the beginning of her career. And that's really what got her famous. So in actuality, like, there's a lot to blame on Kanye for this because he married a virtual porn star. And you got to expect this kind of behavior from them. But apparently, I think Kanye might be having some buyer's remorse about marrying Kim because he's really, really upset and not on board with their extreme lifestyle. We've talked about how he was upset about her dressing too scantily, too much like sexy dressing. And he said that was a little bad. He's become more religious now and more focused on like, being a little conservative and being a little more respectful with your body. And in addition, now that Kanye has kids with Kim, I think what I have gathered of what's happened was, I believe there was a discussion with the Kardashian clan about getting the kids to go on a Playboy shoot or something. Like, I don't think they were going to be nude, of course. I really highly doubt that. But I think just the idea for Kanye of his kids posing for Playboy, and this is why he declared they never will be on Playboy. And he's kind of also referencing the fact that Kim Kardashian posed for Playboy in 2007, and this was something that Kim's mother encouraged. She was like there. She was helping take the pictures. Like Kim's mother is Kris Jenner, and she's like really for all this kind of like very, very degenerate behavior, this scandalous like Playboy nudity stuff, like whatever it takes for them to make money. And that might have been more important to them back in the day because they weren't as famous. They had to just kind of use their bodies more. But at this point, it's like, why even? Like, why even try? Like, you're already billionaires. Kim's a billionaire. Kardashians are a billionaire. Kanye's a billionaire. I mean, these guys don't need to sell their bodies, and they certainly don't need to sell their kids' bodies and, you know, get them exposed to this stuff, especially when they're so young. So that's really the turn for this story, is the fact that Kim and Kanye are starting to beef now. I don't know where that's going to go. They seem to be kind of arguing in public, like we talked about after Kanye's bizarre rant at his sort of presidential rally. It resulted in Kim trying to bring a doctor to him, and then Kanye was kind of arguing about the Kardashians, kind of having regrets about marrying this porn star and marrying into this family who's also had their kids kind of indoctrinated into liberal lifestyles, having them indoctrinated into these like far, far extreme like places like Playboy and Hollywood and like sex tapes and all that stuff. So definitely is some signs that Kanye has buyer's remorse there. And we have to say we agree with him. I mean, he might sound a little unhinged. Sometimes he says some crazy stuff, but he's right. Like, he should try and protect his kids. He should try to have a better life for them. But at the same time, like I mentioned, he's definitely to blame too. Like, he married this person. He married into this extreme family who, while they do have a strong family bond and they're all sticking together, like the Kardashian clan is inarguably like really, really a strong family that does a lot of good things. And they helped Kanye too. Like, he had some struggles. He lost his mom a few years back and he's become better with them. But at the same time, he's seen the cracks and the kinks in the armor, and he realizes, hey, we don't want to turn our kids into the next Kim Kardashian or the next Khloe Kardashian or whatever it is. I mean, sure, they're successful and rich, but I mean, you could go just Google search and get a picture of Kim Kardashian doing this crazy sex tape all over the internet. I mean, you don't want that for your kids. It's good that she used it in a successful way and she's gotten stronger because of it. But the fact of the matter is, Kanye's having some issues. He's gotten a public fight with his family, and this whole presidential thing, like I said, it's likely a publicity stunt. This is the last article about this story. It says Kanye West says his new album will be released Friday. So that's coming out in just a few days. And it's just responding in addition to this presidential campaign. You can't really ignore that connection. I mean, the fact is, he had this presidential campaign announced 2 weeks before his album. He did this weird rally before. This is what happens with every Kanye album too. Like, all these stories that we talked about of him before, it's a yearly cycle. Like, every year or two, he comes out with an album and he has that planned in his head. So he knows he wants to hype up some stuff. So he gets into the news, he gets into politics. That was the same time he visited Trump in the Oval Office. And now he's doing this kind of presidential run. I mean, it still could be genuine and it's possible, but it really looks like a publicity stunt. So with all that said, that about wraps things up. I think you guys get the point. Make sure you comment your thoughts on this story below. Give us some interaction with a like too. Subscribe if you're new. Hit the bell for notifications. And until next time, have a great day.